again, so great to have both you and Peyton join our club. It's wonderful. Cameron Marsden has set up a great speaker for us today. And so I am going to turn it over to Cameron to introduce them.
Hey, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. I just wanted to take a second and talk about Fly High Lexington. So Fly High Lexington is in Davidson County. This might take a second, but how many people knew there was an airport in Davidson County? I get a little, that's a good amount. Some people know. Okay. I think I knew that. I don't think I knew exactly what all it entailed and what it included that we have right here in Davidson County. So I thought it would be really important to share it with you guys. And we had the opportunity today. So it's been there since August 2010. During the past 10 years, Fly High Lexington has marketed the Davidson County Airport as a convenient arrival point for the Triad. It has a couple of current projects that I think Jack's going to update us on when he gets on here. And we're really excited to hear more about the airport and what all they have, the partnerships that are possible with the airport and our community. Maybe your business might have a possible partnership. So that's where I thought the benefit might come in today. So we're fortunate enough to have Jack Robertson, who's the general manager, on with us today as a guest. And Jack has 13 years of experience in line service with general aviation. He has experience in organizing and executing aviation events, FAA certificate of waiver. He is Shell ACE certified. He's a private pilot. And he's a graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Professional aeronautics, double minor in management and safety. And as you can tell, this lingo is a little bit outside of my area. So I'm going to turn things over to Jack and let him tell you everything about our airport here in Davidson County. So welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Cameron, and thank you to everyone for letting us come here and talk a little bit about the Davidson County Airport today. I'm actually kind of excited. I actually recognize a few faces on here, at least one aviator. So to those, you'll kind of know what the airport's about. If y'all haven't been out here, we're a lot easier to get into and access than Greensboro or Charlotte. We're just a general aviation airport. That means we just serve the general flying needs of owner operators, charters. We don't have airline service out here, but from what Cameron said, even this morning, I had someone who came in and said, I've lived in this county for 30 years and didn't know there was an airport here. So we still get that from time to time, but we always love talking about the airport. That's kind of why we all love being here. So if it's all right, I can share my screen, just have a very brief PowerPoint.
Give me just a minute. And what I'll do, Jack, is I will turn over the host controls to you. One thing I will tell you in advance of doing that, if you hear background noise, look for whoever you're hearing that from so that you can mute them, because once I turn over these controls, you're the only one that can do that.
Got it. All righty, folks. Well, right here,
the share screen button should be in the upper, well, let's see, lower part of your screen in the center. And then it should give you the option to pick which screen you want to share. There we go. We do see your presentation. There we go, from the beginning.
All right, folks, this is just our website. This is actually a brand new website. We're running the version of a website for the past 10 years and thought it was time for an update. So we hired someone to create this new website. Pretty basic. Try to answer all the questions that pilots and passengers would have coming in. Down here at the bottom, we have our fuel prices that we highlight, our runway links, and there's a few other pages that highlight the services that we have as well as the facilities at the airport. Just for a little bit of information, the Davidson County Airport obviously serves not only Lexington, but also Thomasville, High Point, and we market ourselves to serve all of the Triad region. We're pretty convenient being almost halfway between Charlotte and Greensboro. Another thing that we call ourselves is a no fees with fuel FBO. For those of you who've flown a small airplanes, you know that fees are kind of the way of life at airports. CAA is something fairly recent that we've been a part of. CAA is basically like a buyer's club for fuel. So an owner operator, they pay an annual fee to be a part of the membership, and then they get preferred fuel pricing at airports. It makes us more competitive. And then the Shell Aero Class Rewards, we are a Shell branded FBO. And so the Aero Class Rewards is a point system. Other things that we offer is a freelance type of flight school. So we have several instructors here, several airplanes that people can learn in. And at least over the past 15 years, FAA examiner, her name is Zinda Lease. She's been coming and working out of here doing check rides for folks. Just a few highlights about the Davidson County Airport. The ILS is an instrument landing system. It helps pilots come in at nighttime, especially for inclement weather. We have all these approaches are just instrument rated approaches for both of our runways. And then the runway itself is 5,000 feet long. Actually, it's 5,004, but I tell people if you need that last 4 feet, something's wrong. The facility has 50 T hangars, size to hold a single aircraft. We have 6 corporate hangars, which are 3,600 square feet, and then 2 private corporate hangars, one of which is occupied by Baptist. They have a medevac helicopter, and then RCR also has a facility here that they fly out of. We have a heated corporate hangar right beside the terminal, and that's where we store larger aircraft. There's some small aircraft in there as well. And we have a maintenance shop here, a full maintenance shop with a lot of employees. They stay very busy. A few other things that we have, just a fire station here, which is really, really convenient. Lexington Fire Station number 2 is at the entrance. Cameron already went over my bio, but also Carl Vanderlinden. He is the owner. He's the director of Fly High Lexington, and Fly High Lexington also serves as the airport manager of the Davidson County Airport. So that's Carl's title. He came from 30 years of experience in hotels and especially in aviation, where he was one of the founding members of Air Aruba, an airline. He's originally from Aruba. And then also Mary Elena Baldwin. She was on the Thomasville Tourism Board for a while, and she does a representation company for hotels in the Caribbean, so all over the Caribbean. So based on their background, we're able to bring more of the hospitality idea behind service to the Davidson County Airport. These are just the pillars that we follow at the Davidson County Airport. Aviators serving aviators. All of our employees are either kind of old hands in aviation. We have a few retired guys from the Air Force. We even have a Marine on staff, and we have a couple of corporate pilots. And recently we have a current American Airlines captain who also has an airplane here, and he just loves being around airplanes. So on his days off, he's out here pumping gas and moving small airplanes. So we're very fortunate to have the type of crew that we have where they just love being here at the airport. A few of these other things, the big thing that we try to focus on is marketing for the airport. And so we have a pretty robust Facebook presence. We've kind of started to get into all the other social media, such as Instagram. And it's pretty good when we can get a nice picture of airplanes. That seems to be pretty popular for folks. This is just a brief picture of kind of a mashup of all of our crew. And all the folks that are out here, is a really good team. We feel pretty fortunate to have the crew that we do here at the Davidson County Airport. This page is from a website called airnav.com. It's what a lot of pilots use to get information about airports that they're going to go to, as well as fuel pricing. And this is a current, I think as of last Friday, a current comparison between the Davidson County Airport and also Greensboro and Winston-Salem. This page is just showing everything that we accept. So not only just standard credit cards, but there's also the U.S. government air card. We have military flights in and out of here frequently. The closest base is there's a guard wing in Rowan County, so they stop up here to practice all the time. And our motto is we want to make it easy for everyone who comes in, so we accept everything. A good joke that we have is we'll take cash, card, or gold, whatever you got. For quality control, fuel quality control is very, very important for an airport, and especially for small airports. For large airports, most folks don't think about it because it's kind of a given. But for small airports, make sure that our quality of fuel is very, very strict, because obviously a pilot can't pull over if they have an issue at altitude. So our fuel supplier is Titan Aviation Fuels. They're out of New Bern, North Carolina. And the Shell ACE certified program is their version of quality control training. So every 2 years they have training that we attend, and it's a good tool that we use to pull in some industry information as well as common best practices. One of the things that Shell has long touted is that they've never had a fuel related issue for aircraft. So making sure that the fuel is the highest quality for pilots is very important at every stage, from the refinery all the way to us pumping into an airplane. Marilena's background is heavy in marketing because she markets for hotels in the Caribbean. And since we started our Fly High Lexington Facebook page, we've grown to just under 5,000, about 4,500 followers. So we feel like we're able to reach a lot of people in the area, but we also have friends in the Caribbean, in Europe, some people who've stopped in the past, they've liked us. So our reach is a lot farther than just North Carolina or the Triad area. Heard talking about the community involvement. We typically have about 4 events. Unfortunately, this year has been a bust, I think, across the board for that. But the top left there is the Big Toy Day. That has been our longest running event, hosted by communities and schools of Lexington and Davidson County. It's a great fundraiser for them. If any of y'all have ever come out, it's a pretty cool mini air show, kind of fly in, and then they have bouncy houses and stuff like that. We've also partnered with the Barbecue Festival as a fly-in, and we shuttle the pilots and passengers to downtown for the Barbecue Festival. And in the past, we've also hosted a Barbecue Capital Cook-Off fly-in, as well as the Aviators Rendezvous, which was a newer fly-in as of last year. Unfortunately, one of the founders for that one passed away. So the future of that one is kind of unknown at the moment, but we're always open to having community involvement. The Big Toy Day has typically been our annual open house, to where people, they can walk not on the runway, but they walk across the ramp. They can mingle with some pilots. They'll come down and open up their hangars and show off their airplanes and talk to people. So it's a good experience for people to see this side of an airport, where otherwise they're only going to be outside the fence or see it in the terminal of a larger airport. Another thing that we do is flight training. We don't have a very huge flight school, but we have a very broad array of instructors. They're called CFIs, and we can train folks all the way in a small Cessna 150 that seats 2 people, up to a Cessna 182, which seats 4 people with a 6-cylinder engine. So it's not a formal flight school, but all the aircraft that we have access to out here, and the type of culture that we have here at the airport really fosters be able to CFIs to be able to come in and bring their own students and train out here. So we want to make sure that people have the option. Here's a few pictures. Some of them are a little bit grainy, but if y'all recognize that Mustang in the top right corner, that's one of our tenants out here. Another important thing that's coming up at the airport is the construction of a Mauser system. That stands for Medium Intensity Approach Light System with runway alignment indicator lights. And basically it's a rabbit light system, which makes the approach to one of our runways a lot safer for pilots. It's another tool that will make this airport more marketable and as a safe alternative for the Piedmont Triad region. And the very brief history of the Davidson County Airport at this point. If y'all knew of Joe Dillard, he started this airport and he ran it and owned it for about 40 years. And it was called the Lexington Municipal Airport. Back in the 90s, the county of Davidson acquired the ownership or stewardship of the airport, if you will, and it was rebranded the Davidson County Airport. And in 1999 and 2000, the airport was actually reconfigured to its present condition with a 5,000-foot runway that's 100 feet wide. And ever since then, it's been operated by the Davidson County Airport Authority. So we're not just the airport of Lexington, but also for Davidson County. So that's something important. And like what was said earlier, there's still people who don't realize that there's an airport here or kind of what the airport is. But for those who do, we get people who come out here all the time. They'll sit on our picnic table and watch airplanes land. Yesterday, we had a couple of low-flying C-17s, which were pretty cool. And all the people in that flight path gave us a call just to make sure everything was all right. So we get lots of calls, and we have a pretty good relationship with our neighbors out here. And hopefully next year we'll be opened up for more events. I know that this coming Saturday, there's a private event out here at the airport, but hopefully next year it'll be open for more events, and we'd love to see all of y'all out here. And as mentioned, we had about 300% growth over the life of Fly High Lexington to date. So this is just a rough graph showing our status right now, just under 300,000 gallons at the end of last year. We're quite proud of that growth, even though we've had a couple of setbacks over the years. 2020 is a setback for everybody, of course. A big, important thing for me and my team is our customer service. This is some reviews that we have. I like to shout out to my guys, especially if they get mentioned in a review, trying to go the extra step for pilots and passengers to make sure that either they have a rental car or one of our cars is available for them. Recommendations for barbecue, that's always a big draw for people coming in. And we even have someone landing here today to go look at Wake Forest. So we're kind of pleased that they chose to come to our location. For the future, the Mauser that I mentioned is supposed to be completed next month. And then tentatively, we had a runway resurfacing project for this year. However, that's been pushed back until next year at the earliest. A few other things that the airport's been trying to do is attract an avionics shop. So someone repairing the radios for aircraft. So that's been an ongoing conversation that we've had with that individual, just trying to position the airport as attractive as possible. And thanks. I hope that wasn't too long for y'all. If y'all have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk to you. Otherwise, thank y'all very much for letting us talk a little bit about the Davidson County Airport.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jack. And if you have not passed the hose back to me, in the upper right corner of my picture image, if you hit the three dots, you may be able to come down and find make me the host.
Yes, ma'am. It's back to you. You should be.
All right. Thank you so much. If you have questions for Jack or comments, if you guys will please unmute yourselves. I know that was a lot of information and a great program. So are there any questions? Go ahead, Phil.
Thank you, Hope. Jack, thanks for your program. I'm interested, is there some relationship that's been formed between you guys and Eggers?
We've tentatively talked to them because they're just down the road from us. Actually, I've been in contact with one of their HR people because during the course of the construction, they wanted to use a drone to film the process of construction. So they've been flying a drone over there. But as far as an aircraft, as of right now, they don't have an aircraft that they operate. But we're kind of hopeful that the type of traffic that either their customers or their suppliers would bring in.
Thank you.
Other questions? Now, Jack, this is just a curiosity. I do not know a lot about engines, but you mentioned that a Cessna 182 has a 6-cylinder engine. So am I assuming that they go smaller than 6-cylinder, and that just seems like a small engine to get something up in the air?
It's very small. The airplane that I learned in had a 4-cylinder engine. But the interesting thing is, the technology for the engines in aircraft is a lot older than the technology for engines in cars. It's more common than not to see carbureted aircraft engines. The newer ones, of course, are going to be fuel injected, but the older ones definitely are carbureted and smaller. The tolerances are different just because the heat and the cold that they're exposed to. But it's sometimes it's kind of amazing to see how some airplanes fly, even ones that fly in from day to day, how they're able to leave the ground. So some people say it's money that makes planes fly. I still think it's magic.
Well, it definitely.
Citizens Schools of Thomasville. This is Ricky Murphy.
Oh, Ricky, I'm gonna mute you. Okay. Well, I think it's magic to make a plane fly with 4 cylinders, and that's just showing my ignorance about engines. Do we have any other questions?
The owner of that aircraft, he typically tries to fly for our Big Toy Day event. Unfortunately, since it's been canceled this year, I'm not sure if there's going to be another opportunity for that. That aircraft flies not very often while it's here. He does do a few air shows in the area. It's kind of hard to figure when his next flight is, because part of the beauty of a small airplane is that they don't really have to have a lot of schedule. You can just take off and go whenever you want to. He does go back and forth between Florida at least twice a year. But if there ever is another event where he'll be out here in focus, I think I can, since I have Cameron's email, I can definitely make sure that information gets passed on as far as possible.
All right. Thank you. Other questions?